Hi, my name is Adorable. Today, I would like to talk about something personal to me. I have ASD, or autism spectrum disorder. My experience used to be described as Asperger's, but now that is just considered autism spectrum disorder. People don't use that word unless they were diagnosed or schooled or got their information before 2013. My particular case is kind of sneaky, and I was diagnosed with a bunch of different things before I figured out that it was autism, such as OCD, agoraphobia, PTSD, generalized anxiety disorder, major depressive disorder, fibromyalgia. I figured out that I have SPD, or sensory processing disorder, or misophonia, basically the same thing, but neither of them are in the DSM because the entire condition is actually just an autistic symptom. I have autism. Brief note, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, whether you love TikTok or you hate TikTok. I just got a TikTok. The DSM, or the Diagnostic and Statistic Manual of Mental Health Disorders, is a collection of mental health afflictions and all of their symptoms that are agreed upon by the world's smartest people. The first edition was released in 1952. Since there is a fifth edition by 2013, this means that about once every decade, all the smartest people got back together and were like,
we didn't have that quite right.
Especially the part where homosexuality was in the first 3 versions. If you're doing the math in your head, we could possibly be in for more updates in the mental health community very soon. New studies come out changing the way that we think about our brain and how everything works. The human experience itself is complex and ever-changing. We have to allow for discussions and amendments of our logic along the way to make things more accurate. A lot of people believe that the rise in mental health awareness or issues is a new phenomenon. Some people think that this rise is due to our population being poisoned by fluoride in our water and antibiotics in our meat,
which might be true.
Some people believe that this generation is just more prone to mental health issues because of our political, social, and economic climate,
which also might be true.
Then there are those people that believe that mental health is just a myth that's being made up and everyone's just jumping on the bandwagon and making up words. Say it with me. All words are made up, but they mean something or they wouldn't need to exist. What's different now is that we can talk about our mental health issues more freely. We have more proactive ways to diagnose or treat any illness that you can think of. What's different is that people don't ship people off or kill them because they are different and can't explain their behavior. Along the lines of more accurate research, did you know scientists used to think you could just learn about every single people by only studying the ones with penises? That's too hormonal. That's going to be inconsistent data. Yep. This brings me back to autism. According to studies in 2015, generally speaking, girls do not know that they have autism until they grow up and have complications as adults, like myself. It was first thought to just be a boy's disorder. Then they thought it was just more likely for boys to have it, and that if girls had it, they had more obvious, more severe symptoms, much lower IQs and behavioral problems. But
what's really going on?
Autism looks different for everyone. Gender norms create issues in recognizing behavior because girls and boys are expected to act differently. For instance, being a shy, reclusive person with obsessions who may be prone to meltdowns is considered a normal thing for a young girl. And lastly, some people are able to mask their autistic symptoms. This makes it harder to identify until you have other complications. In order to be diagnosed autistic, you have to meet certain criteria. Impaired social skills. We're just going to read this straight from the laptop because it's a lot. Difficulty initiating social interactions and clear examples of atypical or unsuccessful responses to social overtures of others. May appear to have decreased interest in social interaction. For example, a person who is able to speak in full sentences and engages in communication, but whose to and fro conversation with others fails, and whose attempts to make friends are odd and typically unsuccessful. I've always struggled expressing emotions. I've been described as robotic. I don't like small talk. I'll do it when I have to, which goes into the masking, but if you talk to me for longer than 5 minutes, I tend to talk about a limited set of topics, and I will talk about those forever. I don't like talking on the phone. I don't like dealing with customer service representatives, and I prefer to work alone, but I know I can work with people. I have always misunderstood sarcasm and been thought to be a ditzy fool for it. Eye contact in certain situations makes me nervous. I've realized that if I don't look people in the eyes, then it makes me look shady, but if I do look people in the eyes and I don't get it right, then I can look genuine and kind of creepy. When I'm comfortable with people, it can be more natural. I have to actively check my facial expressions. The amount of times I have been asked in my life,
"Are you okay? What's wrong?"
I don't have friends except for the ones I've met in professional settings. If I don't have a reason to be there, then generally I won't go because social interactions are hard for me. Once I do get close to people, it doesn't always look like it because I'm really bad at just checking up on people. I have always felt a disconnection between my emotions and social interactions. My true feelings manifested in writing and art and music. Except recently, anxiety just makes me cry. Repetitive behaviors. We're gonna get the laptop out again.
Inflexibility of behavior causes significant interference with function in one or more contexts. Difficulty switching between activities, problems of organization and planning hamper independence.
They go into explaining 4 types of criteria on repetitive behaviors. 1. Stereotyped or repetitive motor movements or use of speech. I cannot sit still. There is constantly a part of my body that's moving, even if it's just my pinky toe. I fidget with things, I crack my knuckles, I pick my nails, and I have a nasty habit of twirling my hair. It gets to the point where my neck and my shoulders will cramp up from being flexed and twirling all day. This is a subconscious event, but if I think about it, I can stop doing it. So it's different from an OCD compulsion. It's like, if my brain is thinking, then my body has to be moving. I have a tendency to mimic noises and phrases that I hear around me. Ringtones, doorbells, alarms, any beeping sound or high-pitched noise, just funny things that I hear, interesting sounds, I will repeat them. I don't know why. It's like a reflex. When I'm alone, I will repeat noises to myself over and over again, and then I laugh because if anyone saw me. The second is insistent on sameness. Inflexible adherence to routines, ritualized patterns of verbal or nonverbal behavior. This is probably the least serious symptom for me, but I do notice that it's present. I don't like when things change. I don't like not knowing what's happening. I don't like uncertainty, and it does make me anxious. Highly restricted, fixated interests that are abnormal in intensity. I already touched on this a bit, but I tend to talk about a limited range of topics, and I will talk a lot about them. Also, when I get a spur in my butt to do something like a video project or a drag thing, I will dive myself full-heartedly into it, and I'll do it way too much to where it annoys everyone around me. Hyperactivity to sensory input or unusual interest in sensory stimulus in the environment. This one's a big one for me. I don't know where to start. I have always had adverse reactions to ambient sounds, and this is more than just a discomfort or annoyance or not liking the sound. It's deeper than that. To break it down scientifically, certain ambient stimuli will trigger my fight or flight reflex, which releases adrenaline and cortisol all throughout my system, increases my heart rate, makes me sweat, makes my fingers go numb, basically tells my body, something is wrong, you are in danger, your life is threatened and you need to run. Meanwhile, I'm just at the grocery store trying to pick what cereal I want. This happens a lot, all day long, and I constantly wear earplugs, except I can't wear them all the time or else I'll get an ear infection. Imagine you're sitting at school doing your work, but the fire alarm is broken and it keeps going off every 10 minutes. That's what it's like inside my brain. I used to feel like I was defective. Now I embrace my quirkiness, and I know I'm normal because even at that, normal is a construct. How this relates to performing. To be honest, putting on wigs and body tights and some of the costumes and the heels and the eyelashes, being in a loud bar or in a huge crowd, it can be a bit overwhelming for me. And there are some times that I have to admit that I have my limits. Creating a fantasy and using art as therapy for myself and everything behind it is worth it for me. The individual people that I've met through performing are worth it for me. Also, there's something about overcoming certain fears in a setting in which I control. I choose what I wear because I like the way it looks. I choose what goes on my body because I have a story to tell with it. So on days when I feel like I'm okay, I'm gonna put those tights on and I'm gonna cut off all my circulation and I'm gonna bust up into some places that are way too dang loud, probably wearing earplugs. I am choosing to make myself uncomfortable because I want to live. I don't want to spend my life feeling like I'm restricted by anyone, not even myself. If you're one of my first 27 subscribers and you got notified of this video, thank you for subscribing! You are my favorite. Yes, you! Thank you for watching, I love you, and goodbye!
Glamour, elegance, beauty, grace, controversy.
It gets to the point where my neck, come on. Some people believe that this rise is due to the Some and all of their symptoms that are agreed upon. This generation is just more some people believe that just also I have another point. So come on. People with menstruation, people with periods, just, we don't know. There's a whole, whatever. I have a habit of packing. The first is impaired scope. In order to be to speak in full sentences and anxiety, a person who is able to without supports. 1. Deficits in social inflexible. I don't have. I've always struggled.